Hey, let's talk about AI. Not the one and everyone else is talking about, not the tools, not the workflows, not how to save 2 hours a week on an email. That's not what this is. This is about something that I think is quietly messing with how leaders make decisions. I think most people have no idea it's happening. So Harvard Business Review published a study earlier this year. They took 300 executives and managers, and they showed them stock data for NVIDIA and asked them to predict where the price was going. Half the group got to consult ChatGPT before they gave the answer. The other half just talked to their peers. And here's what happened. The executives who used ChatGPT, they were more confident, more optimistic, more certain in their predictions, and they were wrong. Significantly more wrong. And the group that just talked among each other, they did pretty good. So think about that for a second. The tool that was supposed to help them think better made them more confident and less accurate. So why does this happen? Well, there's a term researchers use called psychophancy. And I want you to understand what this actually means because it changes how you use these tools forever. AI is trained by human feedback. Human rates the responses, and what humans tend to rate highly, responses that agree with them, responses that validate what they already think, responses that make them feel good about their position. So the model learns. It's a large language model. Agreements get rewards. Pushback gets penalized. And so the results is an AI that almost never tells you you're wrong. It's like a PhD yes man. One study looked at thousands of AI interactions and found that 58% of them, more than half, showed psychophantic behavior. The AI adjusted its answer to fit whatever the user wanted to hear. Even ChatGPT admitted that it was doing that. But here's the part that really got me. The same research found that when users argued for their own position first, when they include evidence supporting what they already believe, sycophancy rates jumped over 61%. So the more convinced you are that you're right, the more AI is going to agree with you. You're not getting a second opinion, guys. You're getting your own opinion handed back to you with better vocabulary. And for leaders, people who are already operating with high confidence, you're under pressure, you walk into rooms where people are reluctant to push back. This is just the same thing, but AI. And that's the real problem. So let's make this concrete because this is where it gets real. Here's a scenario every leader has lived. You've got a senior person on the team. We're going to call him Marcus. And Marcus is good. He's one of your best performers by every metric. He hits his numbers, knows the business, and he's been with you for 4 years. But Marcus is also quietly poisoning the culture. He's not loud about it. He's not dramatic. He's negative and passive aggressive. He undermines people in meetings. And you've thought about calling it out before, but he does it in such a smart, subtle way. It almost seems like sarcasm. But he creates politics. He likes to pit people against each other. And two of your most loyal people, separately and privately, have told you that working alongside Marcus, they can't handle it and they're going to start looking elsewhere. So you know what you need to do, but you're hesitating. Because why? He's hard to replace. His departure is going to hurt you short term. And so a lot of times we'll have the conversation, or we've maybe even had the conversation. We know it's going to happen. It'll get improved for a few months. You can document it, let HR know. But instead of having the conversation, you go to AI and you lay out the situation and you ask, should I let Marcus go? And the AI, it's helpful, it's thorough, it's agreeable, and it validates your hesitation. So it tells you to have the conversation, track it, the performance, culture issues are hard to document. And when you think of it this way, and you read this well-reasoned, well-written argument, you close the laptop and you feel better about doing nothing. But you know what that is? That's expensive emotional comfort. That's not thinking. You walked in wanting permission to wait. The AI gave you permission to wait. Nothing actually happened, except you just feel more justified in the same indecision you came in with. Now, same situation, different posture. Instead of asking AI what you should do, you say this to AI. I'm leaning towards giving Marcus one more quarter. Give me the strongest possible case for why that is the wrong call. That's it. That's one shift. Now the AI, given explicit permission to challenge you, now that it knows it can challenge you, it'll start surfacing things your brain was quietly filtering out. The compounding cost of cultural erosion, what it signals to the rest of the team when behavior like that gets tolerated, the fact that just a few months of improvement, that's not a resolution, it's just a pattern that's going to happen over and over again. It'll give you data on how long organizations wait and the cultural damage that happens and what it ultimately costs them. Now give me the strongest case for keeping them. You let it make that argument as hard as it can. And then I want you to say this. What are the second order consequences if I keep Marcus for another quarter and those two strong performers leave? Isn't that a good one? Second order consequences? Because the first order effect of keeping Marcus is I get to keep short-term stability, right? But the second order effect might be losing two people, and those loyal people are harder to replace than he is. And a team that now knows exactly what behavior the organization tolerates, well, we know what's happening then. That's a leader actually thinking through a decision instead of just going to AI and looking for permission. I want to run another scenario by you because I want you guys to be able to get this. So let's say you get an opportunity that feels like bad timing. You get approached with something significant, a big new client, a partnership offer, an acquisition, maybe a totally new market. And the numbers look amazing. Your team's already at capacity, and you know the timing, there's some gut feeling that it feels wrong. And you think about it and you can't sleep and you're up at 3 a.m. in the morning because you know this only comes around like once a decade. So you go to AI. It's 3 a.m. You're on your laptop in the kitchen and you describe it. You ask whether to take it. Should I take this partnership offer or not? And the AI builds a case. It finds examples of companies that scaled through these similar moments. It lists strategic advantages that you're going to have. It tells you that the capacity constraints, they're going to just be temporary. And it's going to be well researched, especially if you use deep research. And it's going to sound super thorough. So guess what? You feel amazing. You go back to bed, you wake up and you're like, yep, we're going to do this. What you probably didn't notice is that you already loaded the premise. When you said significant opportunity to AI and that it doesn't come back around, that maybe this is a lifetime opportunity or whatever, however you word it, you framed it as a yes decision before you even asked the question, and it caught on to that. And so the AI just built its answers on top of your framing. Do you get the framing here? This is really important. So let's reset it. It's 3 a.m. You're sitting there. You're worried about this. So here's the first question you're going to ask it. What do I actually know to be true here? Separate from how exciting this looks. So now what are we going to do? We're going to strip the story. We're going to look at observable facts, not the narrative. Second question you're going to ask it is, assume I take this and it goes badly. Walk me through the most realistic failure scenario, not the worst case, the most likely case. This question alone, what's going to happen is it's going to surface things your optimism is hiding. And third, and this one's underused, and I love this one. I use this for everything. Are you ready for this prompt? It's a super simple one. If I say yes to this, what am I saying no to? Because we know this, guys, in leadership, every yes is a no to something. And the leaders who get into deep troubles are the ones who keep saying yes without naming what they're trading away. And then finally, it's 3:30 a.m. now. I ask this time horizon question. 5 years from now, which decision am I more likely to regret? Taking this or passing? Not because your future self is always right, but because that frame dissolves the artificial urgency. Because we have this, we do this, we have a scarcity mindset. So we warp it in our present tense thinking. And so the opportunity feels like it won't come back around or maybe it'll even look different. And so in the pressure of the moment, we feel like we have to make a decision. But here's the real issue underneath all of this. AI feels like a PhD in everything, doesn't? And honestly, in some ways it is, if you look at the scoring and benchmarks that it makes. And you can access the vocabulary, the frameworks, the data, the counter arguments. And you can do it on almost any domain instantly. That's real. That's genuinely useful. It's an amazing tool. I use it all the time, every day. But there's a difference between having thought through something and having had your existing thinking organized into better language for you. And that HBR study found exactly this. The executives who use AI, they became more confident. They felt like they had done the work. But confidence that isn't earned isn't an asset, is it? It's just a liability that moves well. So the question you need to ask yourself after every AI conversation, especially if it's about a real decision, is this: did AI change my thinking? And I always ask this, or did it just organize my existing thinking? If it only organized, you haven't thought harder. You thought more fluently about what you already thought, and you used amazing communication with it. But that's not useful for decisions, is it? So here's the framework, 4 postures, that's it. This right here, and I'll have this in the show notes. Number 1, inversion. Before you finalize anything significant, ask AI to make the best case against your current position. Not to be negative, just to surface what you're filtering out. Simple one is, I'm leaning towards X, whatever X may be. Give me the strongest argument that X is wrong. It's a great one, guys. I use this in relationships, in coaching, and everything. I'm leaning towards X. Give me the strongest argument that X is wrong. And then the next one is still man. Ask it to make the best possible case for the position you're inclined to reject. If you can't answer the still man, you're not ready to decide. And then number 3 is second order. If this plays out the way I hope, what is it set in motion? And if it doesn't, what is it set in motion? This causes you to trace the downstream before you commit. Not just what happens next, but what happens after that. And then my 4th one is always the Socratic integration. And the prompt is this: what assumptions am I making in how I frame this question? Which assumption is doing the most work? What would I have to believe for my current position to be wrong? Dude, that is so great. That is such an awesome one. I'm going to repeat all 3 of those questions on the Socratic integration. What assumptions am I making in how I frame this question? Which assumption is doing the most work? And what would I have to believe for my current position to be wrong? And if you do these 4 postures, it don't require anything new. Super simple prompts. Doesn't require a course. All it requires you is to stop walking to an AI conversation with your conclusion already made. And it gives permission to the AI to have a good debate with you. And you know what that is? It's discipline. Look, AI is one of the most powerful thinking tools available to leaders right now. Like I said, I use it every single day. But most leaders are using it to think less. They're using it to confirm faster, to feel more certain, to get a well-organized version of what they already thought, and then they move with bad decisions. And I believe self-aware leaders who are going to use this well are the ones who treat it like a sparring partner. We've all seen sparring partners, what that looks like in MMA or boxing. If you can ask it to break your thinking before you commit to something, it's beautiful. Because we all, as humans, in our human brains, we have these biases and beliefs. And my favorite word is clarity. I believe in simple terms, clarity is seeing what's actually there. And if you use AI right, it will find what actually is there. Guys, if this landed, and if there's a decision you're sitting with right now that you've been running through AI and keep getting back the same answer, like I said, I'm building out a prompt library. There's some of that. You're going to have these in the show notes. But I encourage you, if you haven't subscribed to jasonrigby.substack.com, that's where everything goes through. We go deeper into this. And you can go to jasonrigby.substack.com, sign up. It's free. And you'll get emails, frameworks are there, the prompts are built. There's links in the show notes. But guys, I want you to be able to use this amazing tool better for you and be a self-aware leader. See you next week.